When people have genuine and sincere questions, well, what's the difference between biblical Christianity and Mormonism? You can go, oh, well, I got the answer to that question right there, so that we can respond to accusations. Because if we don't, and if all we do is preach the word, now don't hear that wrong either, if all we do is preach the word without ever answering sincere questions that people have, we will be as jerkish as this unrehearsed melodrama. Adrian, if you would be so kind to welcome to my bakery. It looks to me like you've got some questions about the cakes that I make. And would you like to ask me some questions about the cakes?
Are they gluten-free?
Oh, you need to try these glazed donuts, man. They're amazing.
Well, I'm gluten intolerant, so I would need to know if they were gluten.
The glazed donuts, they're better than Krispy Kremes. Try the glazed donuts.
If I have something with gluten, I will pass out on the floor, and you'll have to call an ambulance. So I need to know whether or not there is gluten in these bakery items.
You see, the glazed donuts, if you buy 12, will not just give you one. Okay. When people ask questions, we need to be able to engage it. So this has its place. But note this, and note this well, this information inside of here that is not about proclaiming the law and the gospel will never, ever save anybody.
Don't make this mistake, because here's the reality. God saves sinners, not apologetics. So oftentimes what happens is people go out and they get all ready with their apologetic, and somebody asks you a question, and they just serve it up, and you can see it coming, and you're just ready to just, boom, here's your answer. And you give them the answer, and it's just the greatest answer that anyone had ever given to this question. Nobody had ever been able to answer that question for them before. Finally, they have an answer, and you say, there it is. They're about to bow the knee and come pray and receive Christ, and they just ask you something else. And then you answer that question, and it just covers all the bases. It just, wow, that's great. Thanks so much for that. Well, what about, which is why ultimately in apologetics, you have to get to the gospel. Apologetics ultimately is just sort of pre-evangelism, right? We're sharing the gospel and people ask us questions because we're sharing the gospel. And then we answer the questions so that we can get to the heart of the gospel.
Why does it inevitably go that way? Because the issue for the sinner is not knowledge, it is the will. That is why we study this stuff, so that we can respond winsomely to their questions, recognizing that basically you're just being polite, you're just demonstrating that Christianity has the answer to your questions, but you're recognizing that it is the word that is going to convert them, specifically the law of God, which brings about the knowledge of sin. It circumvents the intellect, and it gets to the conscience, which helps them understand they're a guilty criminal, which helps them understand they need a Savior. And we have one, and his name is Jesus.